Good morning, beloveds. We've had several days of very cloudy weather, and the first day we have sunshine is the day that I didn't go outside. It's also in the 30s, so, I'm okay with taking today as a day of rest. I don't have to get out into that weather today. I'm going to do it tomorrow, but, yes, because Friday is my day. I let myself sleep in about an hour, just an hour. Although Foster wasn't into it. Foster was like, no, you need to get up. And then he just proceeded to follow me around the house. I don't know what that's about. Probably because it's cold. It was 73 yesterday in the morning. And by the time I got home, it was in the 50s. And then this morning when we woke up, it's in the 30s. This weather, February is always a little weird though. But there's this stripe of sun across Foster right now. So, all right. It is February 17th. Our title is The Belief That Heals. There are 3 quotes today. The first one is, commit thy ways unto the Lord, trust also in it, and it shall bring it to pass. And that is Psalm 37:5. The second quote is, a mental avenue must be provided through which the law may operate as a law of liberty if we are to be free. And that is Science of Mind, page 269. The last quote is, it is a belief and an acceptance on our part that set the creative law in motion. Belief must pass through faith into acceptance by acknowledgement. And that is Good for You, page 37, which is a workbook. So Reverend Jesse loaned it to me, and I know where it is. Okay. Spiritual mind treatment done for whatever purpose requires a special kind of belief. A belief that either stems from or grows into a faith that conceives of no contradiction. This kind of belief involves one's very personal acceptance of the spiritual premise upon which the science of mind teaching is based. Namely, that God is the only reality. There is nothing else but God, and it is God that we are working with. These statements make sense to a practical mind only if we can understand that the world of form is divine in origin and divine in substance. Thus, in doing spiritual treatment, we affirm our conviction that God is the substance of all form, and divine substance is not subject to disease, pain, impairment, or malfunction. Divine mind knows no doubt, experiences no confusion. God's love is not subject to change or to abuse. These statements are the truth and indeed the only truth about our mind, our soul, and our body. We speak with simple sincerity. We do not knit our brow and pray that the truth be true. We recognize that it is true. And when we state these truths, a creative process is activated, bringing form to that which we have affirmed. My faith is based on an inner conviction, not upon an outer creed. My inner self ever dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High, and I am always in the presence of the Almighty. Faith builds upon belief. Every statement of truth renews my spiritual strength. I believe in God. I believe in humanity. I believe in myself. I am guided, guarded, and protected by indwelling spirit, by omnipresent love. Wherever I go, God goes there first. When I sleep, the Spirit keeps vigil. When I work, the one mind is expressing through me. And that is CC. That is Craig Carter. All right. So, Craig Carter doesn't pull any punches some days. So, this line, we do not knit our brow and pray that the truth be true. We recognize that it is true. That, I think, is the key to spiritual mind treatment. If you go back and look at spiritual mind treatment and the way it is taught, basically what science of mind is teaching is that there is a reality with a capital R. And in this reality with capital R, there is no malfunction, no imperfection, no all of anything that we would not prefer. It doesn't exist in the reality with a capital R. And so when we treat, what we are doing is we are going to that. What Reverend Jesse likes to call it is the place where nothing has ever been wrong. Okay. That's where we go. That is the truth that we are affirming. We are not praying that it exists. We know that it exists, and we are affirming that it exists so that we can bring the material reality, which is a lowercase r, into alignment with the truth of the reality with the capital R. If we can go back and quote one of the things that Ruth has said to many people, the only emotion is love, and that all else is either an absence of love. It's the struggle to recognize love. So that's where we are. So all God is love. And all of the messiness that we get into in the material realm is an illusion based on the idea, not the reality, but the idea that there's not enough love to go around. There's not enough to go around. And that's not the truth. It looks like a fact, but it's not the truth. And that's where we have to, it is a little bit of mental gymnastics. I admit it. It's a little bit of mental gymnastics, because when we limit ourselves, our spiritual selves, to the material realm, which we have chosen to do for whatever reason, we limit our view. Because the material realm is limited. It is. It is constantly coming out of the unseen into the seen, and then promptly returning back from the seen to the unseen. It is naturally limited. But it's not. It's the view that is limited. The reality is not. And so when we treat, what we are doing is we are going back to the unseen realm and accepting that while this view is limited and therefore it looks like things are missing, we're going back to the truth, which is in the unseen realm, it all exists. There is enough. And that it goes back to that divine reality. And I said it's mental gymnastics, because we are asking a limited vehicle to expand a little bit beyond what it's comfortable doing. Okay? The spiritual side of us knows the truth. The material side of us, which is temporarily limited by the material, we're asking it to expand beyond its comfort zone. And let me remind you about the ego for just a minute. The ego's job is to keep the material part of you safe. It's a very limited job. So the ego can't see past the end of its own nose, which is why we don't let the ego drive. We do have the ego in the vehicle. It has a job. And what we do is when the ego starts to jump up and down, we go to the ego and say, okay, tell me your concerns. That's good information. Let me see what I need to do about it. And then then the ego can go sit down, and because it's done its job. But the spiritual side of you is not limited to the ego, which is why we don't let the ego drive. We accept the ego. It has a job. It's not bad or wrong. It's just, it has a limited skill set. It has a limited amount of information. Therefore, we turn to the spiritual side of us. And the spiritual side of us is capable of that expansion. It is capable of seeing beyond the material limitations. It is because it comes from that unlimited realm. So when we treat, that's the side of us that we are activating. That's the side of us that we are using. And the more often we tap into that spiritual side of us, then we are able to push that material expansion. We're able to push that material side of us that only sees this far. We're able to push it a little bit. And that's why we practice. And that's why we practice every day. Because the more we can push the material side, the more effective our treatments are going to be. Because when we treat, we are, one, going to that spiritual side, and two, activating that expansion part. So I'm not telling you it's easy. I am simply telling you it's possible. And the key to it is practice. So, Craig, you make me work for it. Sometimes Craig makes me work for it almost as much as Ernest does. These statements make sense to a practical mind only when we can understand that the world of form is divine in origin and divine in substance. That is why we tap into the spiritual side of us, because the spiritual side of us is from the divine. Now, everything material is made of the divine, but we tap into the spiritual side of us because the spiritual side of us knows that. It knows it. And so we go there, and we go there on a regular basis. You want a well-worn path to the spiritual side of you, to the spirit within you. You want to be able to find the spiritual side of you in the dark. In the dark. That's why when I talk about the spiritual practice of doing something loving, something kind, and something compassionate, why I say to do it every day. I want you to create a well-worn path, a path that you can walk in the dark, a path that you can walk in pain, a path that you can walk in joy, so that no matter what happens, you can get to the part of you that knows that nothing has ever been wrong, nothing will ever be wrong, and that whatever temporary material bump that we've hit, that we can get through it. And the spiritual side of us knows that. Knows it. What we've got to do is make that connection regularly. If you look into brain science, where they talk about, because you have two hemispheres for your brain, you have the left and the right. And there are activities that you do that cause more connections to work between your left and your right. The more connections that you have going between the left and the right, the stronger your brain function is. And if something happens to a part of your brain, then another part of your brain goes, no, I got this, because you've been working on those connections. It's the same thing with your spiritual nature. Work on those connections. Work on those connections every single day. Work on that path. The more path you have to your spiritual side, the more likely that when you are when the material world comes and just completely shakes your world, because it does it. I make no bones about that. That your feet can land on a path that will get you to your spiritual side like that. And then you can respond to the material shaking in a spiritual way. Practice, practice, practice. The belief that heals. It does go back to knowing who you are and practicing the belief and the faith that there is a spiritual part to you. There is a divine part to you. And that no matter what happens in the messy material world, you're going to be okay. And that is the belief that heals. Okay. All right, Craig. Oh, Ooh, he makes me work for it occasionally. And then sometimes he does these little ones and you're like, oh, okay. Like praying for teenagers and praying for children, where he gives you specific. So, the mission today, should we choose to accept it? I like the sentence, we speak with simple sincerity. The mission today, should we choose to accept it, is to speak with simple sincerity about the truth of our being that is divine. You want to paint a picture with words? Please feel free to. You can use as many words as you need to. But whatever and however many words you use, do it with a simple sincerity of knowing that the truth of your being, the truth of all beings, is divine. We are beloved children of God. Every living thing is a beloved child of God. If we can start there, imagine where we can go. All right. That's the mission today. Speak with simple sincerity about the truth of your being. Now, the second one is the spiritual practice that I referenced, to do something loving for yourself, do something kind for yourself, do something compassionate for yourself, whatever that looks like. Occasionally, it looks like a day of rest. Occasionally, it is one where you tell the cat to go away, that you need another hour in bed. Occasionally, or often, what it looks like is self-care. Straight up. When you practice love, kindness, and compassion on yourself, you are taking care of yourself. Those of us who live a life of service understand we cannot pour from an empty cup. Therefore, we have to take care of ourselves first, which is why when they do that the safety protocols on the airplane, they say if the oxygen mask drops, you put yours on first, then you help your neighbor. Okay? That is what self-care is about. It is about making sure that you are in a good place so that you can serve another. Or yourself.
Surprise!
So, take care of yourself. Practice the love, practice the kindness, practice the compassion on yourself. Always. Always, always, always. Because that will... I am just entirely distracted. I'm sorry. Self-care, self-care, self-care. You deserve your own love. You deserve your own kindness. You deserve your own compassion. That's where I'm always going to go with that statement. Practice on yourself. Now, I do also say about this that it is also about making room for joy. No matter what is going on, and I know that this world can get messy and it can get chaotic. And there are a host of emotions that we get to feel. And we are allowed to feel them. Don't ever think that you are not allowed to have the full range of human emotions. It's the choices you make while you are experiencing them that are important, which is why you practice love, kindness, and compassion on yourself. But make room for joy. Make room for joy. That's why I say eat dessert first. Because sometimes I literally mean it. Sometimes I literally mean eat dessert first. But most of the time, when I say eat dessert first, what I mean is take care of yourself. Make room for joy. Your life is a special occasion. Treat it as such. Eat dessert first. Eat the good food. Have the healthy meal. Drink the good stuff. Use the good china. Break out the amazing silverware. Wear the nice clothes. Treat your life as a special occasion that it is. Treat yourself as the brilliant light, divine spark, godling that you are. Come into alignment with joy, because joy is absolutely one of the qualities of God. Practice it. Okay? So, love, kindness, compassion. It looks like taking a deep breath before you speak. It looks like eating dessert first. It looks like taking a nap. It looks like taking a day off or just a set amount of time off. It looks like calling a good friend. It looks like engaging all 5 senses in something really amazing. Practice on yourself. You are your own best test subject. And more importantly, you deserve it. Okay? You deserve your own love. You deserve your own kindness. You deserve your own compassion. And I was talking about that well-worn path to the spiritual side of yourself. This is part of the way you get there. Practicing love, kindness, and compassion, where you are regularly accessing the infinite source of love, kindness, and compassion. And you create a bank. So when you meet somebody, including yourself, who needs a little extra, you got it. And you create that first response. A default setting. A habit. Trust me, love, kindness, and compassion, best habits you can have. Best habits you can have. All right, beloveds. I just got a little discombobulated in the middle of that, so I'm going to move on. I'm going to encourage you to do something to engage your mind and your body, unless today is your day of rest. I thoroughly encourage those, and you take as many as you need. I have one built into my schedule, and then occasionally the rain gives me more than one. I encourage you to drink plenty of water. Hydration is super important. Your brain works better when it's hydrated, so please do that. If you're going to practice love, kindness, and compassion, do it hydrated. I do encourage you to get early in your day bright light. If you get up before the sun, please use artificial light. It's called a circadian rhythm. It is about hormone balance. We have a natural hormone cycle. That's what I'm talking about. It's science. You can look it up. But if you get that early in your day bright light, it helps to reset those hormones. You'll have more energy during the day. You'll sleep better at night. Science. You can look it up. And then in the words of Ernest Holmes, open the windows of your soul. Allow the breath of heaven to remind you you do live in heaven right here, right now. So we've been talking about the belief that heals. That's part of it. Recognizing that heaven is not a place. Recognizing that heaven is a state of mind. It is a state of consciousness. When you recognize that, when you learn to create that for yourself, because nobody can do it for you. This is why I talk about practicing love, kindness, and compassion. Why I practice about creating that habit. Once you learn to create heaven for yourself, nobody can take it away from you. All right? And when you learn to create it, and you practice it, and you get good at it, heaven ceases to be a place and can become any place. And the better you get at it, it can become every place. All right? Nobody can do it for you. Once you learn to do it yourself, nobody can take it away from you. And as each of us learns to do it ourselves, and that's why we come into community, to learn from each other, that's how we make a world that works for everybody. It's pretty cool. All right. And you can always take Emma's advice. Look for the good and praise it. So practice, practice, practice. That's why they call us practitioners. Even when we become ministers, we are still practitioners first, because we are constantly practicing. Okay, I am on to the social media. We are Creative Life Spiritual Center, Creative Life Spark. I'm the running Rev Ryan on the social medias that I am on. Please feel free to check them out. If you want to know what's going on with the center, email info@creativelife.org. We'll get you on the constant contact, and that will either take you right to the information you want. Click here now. The hot links are hot. Or to the person that can help you get it. So, and we are very proud of our playlists, especially our Soul Session playlists. We did have, the one that was supposed to be this week has moved to March 8th, so please keep abreast of that. And the Constant Contact will do that. So, please check all that out. There's lots of great content on there. And I am have a great day, a wondrous day, a fantastic day, a magical day, an enchanted day, a wonder-filled day, an awesome day, an amazing day, a Friday, if it's that time, depending on when you're listening to this, Friday. I get to go to the park day tomorrow, but something to look forward to. A enchanting day. Because you can do that. You can enchant your own life. Change your language. Change your life. Change your thinking. Change your life. Change your language. Change your life. A get stuff done day, or we made it day. A good day. And if that's too much pressure, simply have a day, because you are enough just as you are. You are a beloved child of God. You are a brilliant light. You are a divine spark. You are Spirit in motion, you are God in action, you are godly, in whom God is well pleased and well represented. It is a state of grace. And the cool thing about a state of grace is it is granted. Can't be taken away, doesn't have to be earned. You're enough just as you are. All right? Okay. Whew. Deep breath. Reverend David should be on around 5 p.m. with you. I should be back with you around 9 a.m. I do get to go to the park tomorrow, so, all bets are off. Outside of, it should be pretty close to 9. I try and let you know when I'm going to be really off. Life happens, right? Take care of yourself. Know that you are loved, and I will see you next time.